Saturday, the 30th of May, 2026 at 12:07 p.m. here in Amsterdam, North Holland, the Kingdom of the Netherlands. Welcome once again to our cosmic journey. It is your dev and design astrology podcast featuring two boys who do the devs and who do the designs. I am the designer, Jake. He is the engineer, Trey. Hello, Trey.
Hello, Jake.
Welcome to this Saturday here.
Thank you. It's a beautiful Saturday.
It's a beautiful
here
Saturday.
In the Netherlands. Weather has been
Lovely
gorgeous.
weather. Lots of things going on with Cosmic, but don't have a lot of expressions that we'll have today. So
Yes.
we have what we would call the philosophical episodes that we will be doing today.
So buckle up because they're always extra long.
They're always extra long, but we promised ourselves that we were not going to go long with this philosophical episode. But you know what? You see the progress bar going right now. You'll be like, look, I'm off of this thing. Most of you only watch 1.5% of the video anyways.
I mean, that's what I would do.
I check the analytics. It's kind of what I do as well. Today's episode is called Sweating the Small Stuff. It will be really about
look at this
us.
little tiny
I knew you were going to love that. I knew you were going to love it. And I put a shrimp in there.
Yeah. The little shrimp emoji.
The little shrimp emoji. You know, it's small, shrimpy,
Yeah.
right? I'm going to talk about
And delicious.
sweating the design details. Trey's got some sync details that he dealt with. We also are very hungry for lunch, so that's also going to be very predominant.
I don't know why we're so
We'll
hungry.
give thanks for all of that, but before we get to all of that, we're going to start with the check-in question. Mr. Henry, are you ready for it?
Now,
Buckle up then. Here it comes.
okay.
If you could be granted the gift of supernatural attention to one tiny thing for the rest of your life, what would you choose? And I realize that this superpower has benefit, but also drawbacks. Because once you have attention to this very small detail, you will see everything, all of the details of this thing. So where's your mind go with all of this?
I feel like I already have this, but spiders.
Oh, okay.
I'm super, super into spiders. I love them. I take pictures of them with my macro lens, which allows me to get very close to them to take pictures. And they're just incredible creatures, and I love them.
Is there a level of detail specifically about spiders that you would be most excited about?
Yeah, I would love to have more insight into spider webs, just like being able to really understand their structure a little bit better and just to be able to like see them really, really well, especially with my old man eyes. It's just like not possible.
You would rather have better man eyes, young man eyes, so that you could see the spiders better and you didn't need something that was a little bit more powerful than a 50 millimeter. I was gonna say a milliliter lens, but that would be drinking. That's a volume.
Yeah. How about you? What's this small detail thing that you would spend the rest of your life
Obsessing over because it would not go well? I would love to have an obsessive amount of detail around observing eyes and body posture and behavior when talking to people, because there is so much that is expressed through eyes, subtle movements. And when you start learning about like the ways in which we give away our deception, lack of confidence, our happiness, our pride, our joy, there's a whole set of like human emotions that you can get if you just, especially if you had like the finest level of details about it. And if I had to choose like one very specific thing, if you said like, look, observing a body is too much. If there'd be one detail, I would just say the eyes. Because
the eyes do reveal.
Exactly. They are the windows to the soul, as I was told by a kind of spooky girl in college who wrote that in my yearbook.
Oh, that's pretty sweet.
She's very sweet.
Basically, you want to be the Bene Gesserit.
I would like to be the Bene Gesserit, absolutely. And that also means that we have to get rid of a lot of computers, and I'm also okay with that at this point.
Are you going to be an astrological mentat?
I would love to be an astrological mentat. That, you know what? Squad goals on that one. I love that. So, yeah, I mean, I've been practicing that a whole lot, but we don't have to talk about that. Good check-in, everyone.
Good check-in.
Good check-in. Mr. Henry, do you want to talk a little bit about what had happened with Sync and kind of why it was like a little bit off and some of the details that you've been working on? There's nothing to show. We're just going to talk a little bit about it.
Yeah, there's nothing to show because it's very hard to reproduce, in fact. And it was just something that we started seeing in using the product. At some point in time, there would be a moment where it looked like the chart went backwards one step. So let's say that you were moving through time, or you were using the buttons to go, put a planet on the angles or something like that. Every now and then, it seemed like it would pop back, and you would lose like one step, and only one step, of progress.
Yeah.
And
so you had to take 2 steps to do this, right? So like it wouldn't be
to
one
reproduce
step
it
back. Yeah.
Well, now we actually know what it is, and so in order to reproduce it, you would have to have 2 steps: one that happens just before the sync call, and one that happens during the sync call. Figured out what the issue was. Fortunately, the issue is about one detail of how sync works and not fundamental to how our sync implementation works, because there was a little bit of a worry there. Anytime there's something that's kind of new and it's complicated, and then you're like, oh, there's this weird issue. Man, I hope this issue does not indicate that there's something fundamentally wrong. And there's not. It's great, actually. It's super solid. And the fix for this thing was really just in one area, which is about what's called compaction. And it was great to fix this, because we're sort of we're starting to get into the mode of polish.
Yeah.
Which is what always happens in the release of any software. Once you start getting down towards the actual release, you go into sort of polish mode, where things that are already in the product or in the software get a lot more refined, and there's less jank, and everything starts to really come together and feel better. And this is when, games will put in all of the voiceover, acting, and all of the textures and animations and everything that weren't in the game. This is, we know that the software works really well. We've got a really good set of features. Still not feature complete, but we're getting really close. But of the stuff that we do have, how do we make sure that it is very polished and feels really premium when we get it into people's hands?
And there's a point of view that we'll get to, because I've got a question for Mr. Henry about that. But first, before we get to that, let me talk about some other polish that we will be working on as well. And what you are seeing here is like one small issue that you have not run into yet, because you haven't tried Cosmic on mobile yet. But we do know that if you've got a smaller screen and you have tuned up your text settings so that you need to have your text be a little bit bigger, well,
because you have old man eyes.
Because you have old man eyes.
This is a screenshot of my phone.
Now, this is Mr. Henry's phone. But you can see that like things break in predictable but kind of silly ways. And also, like, for our friends that are using Cosmic on desktop for Linux or for Windows, I couldn't be bothered to take a screenshot of Windows, because God help me if I try to take a screenshot of like Windows 11 and then try to send it to me. Like,
terrible.
It's impossible.
It's a horrible operating system.
Unless I'm using OneDrive, which I'm beginning to be forced into doing, and then like the Edge browser, it's never going to work. So I did the very boomer thing of taking a picture of my screen instead. Then my complaint was, of course, that this was in the Apple proprietary HEIC format.
Also annoying.
Don't get me started on that, because I'm going to go all like ragey old man about that. But you can see here that there's problems with our friends that use us on Linux and on Windows. There's problems where the scroll bar is scrunching up the window and causing right here all of this like weird breaking that happens here. And it's just like, the question I have for Mr. Henry here is like how you think about like pride in your craft, especially working in corporate environments where pride was not a requirement necessarily in craft.
Yeah, well, I was actually, so I have a model for this, which I inherited from an amazing designer that I hired at this company that we did, Nebula. And she had a prioritization scheme, which was P1s. So it's just P1, P2, P3. P1 is we cannot ship without it. In other words, the software doesn't work, or whatever it is, cannot function without this thing. There's actually, it turns out, not really a ton of P1s. P2 is we wouldn't ship without it. We believe that this is something that really is core to the software, and it's really important and meaningful, and therefore P2s, we would feel really bad about shipping if we didn't have them in there. And then you have P3s, which is nice to have. This framing works really well all throughout the organization, because I think even senior leaders will understand that, yeah, we're saying that we could ship, right? And this is going back to conversations that we've had about what it means to have a minimum viable product and how that can be a really toxic sort of way of approaching software. This makes it so that you can prioritize those. You can prioritize the work and say, okay, these things that must be in the product in order for it to function, those things we have to do first because we need to know that those things are nailed. But all of these other things that are these P2s in here, we are going to do them before we ship. We don't want to ship without them. We would not have pride in what we did if we shipped without them.
So why do details matter then, in your mind? Because we're talking about like sweating the small stuff. So
I don't think every single thing needs to sweat the details. But I think for a product like ours, where we are professional astrology software that is the world's best astrology software, that the details really, really do matter. And I think they matter because it's difficult to earn somebody's trust, but it's very easy to break it. And even little things erode away at that trust. If you see a detail panel and that detail panel is broken up in a weird way and you can just tell that that's not how it's supposed to be, but it's just weird in this one case, then you don't think about this consciously, but in the back of your brain, you're thinking, well, what else did they mess up?
Right.
Like, is an astrological calculation here incorrect? And we've hit some of those too. And it is a very difficult problem to solve, which is why there isn't a ton of astrology software for professionals in the world, and some of it has been around for a really long time.
The experience of anything accumulates for bad or good. And you've heard of the saying like death by 1,000 paper cuts, right?
Yeah.
Like this is what Trey was talking about. When you've got a paper cut here and a paper cut here, and then after a while you're like, wow, there seems to be a lot of paper cuts here. What else is wrong?
Right.
So we can talk about it in the negative form as well, like the death by 1,000 paper cuts. But I also want us to think about it in the positive way too, which is success by 1,000 touches, right? Like there's a nice touch here and there's a nice touch here.
Yeah.
And we want to obviously fix the paper cuts, but also bring in those nice touches all the way throughout that might not even be noticed by you. And this is the thing, like we can make a lot of excuses for why paper cuts exist in our products. And we're like, it's okay, it still works and everything. And we can also make a lot of excuses about why we don't put nice touches to things. Because if I put a nice touch over here, I can't do this other thing over here. That time is limited.
Yeah,
Now,
time is finite.
the time is finite, energy is not. And I am the type of person that when I use software that has nice touches, it makes me want to engage with it more.
Yeah.
When I design software with nice touches, it makes me want to touch everything nice. You know, it's like you don't clean the counters of a house where there are piles and stacks of newspapers everywhere because you've got a bigger problem on your hand. But when you are refined down to like, and I shouldn't talk about our house because you can see it in the background, but like when the house is clean, you then go through and do the nice touches. You get the flowers, you make it smell nice. You do all of the nice touches because it's optimizing for that thing so that you can create something that is not just usable, but is also like lovable, or that would be a very Fjord term. Like I come from consulting, from innovation consulting.
Yeah.
So like the experience accumulates of everything.
Yeah.
It either accumulates for the bad or accumulates for the good. It is not equal weighting.
Yeah.
Bad will always trump good. And so you have to do 1,000 touches probably to make up for 100 paper cuts. You probably have to do, I'm guessing, 4 to 5 nice touches to make up for a paper cut.
Yeah. That's at least that ratio. And I think I was just thinking about it in terms of the difference between a Michelin 1-star and a Michelin 2-star restaurant.
Oh gosh.
Because
huge difference, by the way.
It is a huge difference. And the difference is all in the experience. So if it's a Michelin rated restaurant, you are guaranteed that the food is going to be stellar. Like the food is just going to be really good. And that is really all the 1-star guarantees you because the rest of the experience of the restaurant is really not taken so much into account when you're just talking about ones that we're just talking about. I mean, this is like a huge, you've done such an amazing thing if you've gotten Michelin rated, right?
Hey,
so I don't want to diminish it at all.
Let me go to my solo for a second. If you're watching and you got a Michelin 1-star,
Good on you.
Good on you.
Good on you.
We're not here to yuck your 1-star because you're like, you didn't get 2. And I understand it takes some time, but to get from 1-star to 2-star, I think this is what Mr. Henry's point is.
Yeah, exactly. So going from 1-star to 2-star is we had an experience, there was a bunch of us having dinner, And one person at the table just sort of quietly mentioned that they weren't really into white wines. And there were wine pairings.
Quietly mentioned to another person at the table.
And the person, that was it. They got no more white wine for the rest, even though the pairings had white wines with them, they always got a red wine after that. And we were like, where's the microphone? Like under this table, like how did they know? And it's that level of detail that gets you to a 2-star Michelin rating.
Right, there's excuses that we can make here. It works, it should be fine. And I'm like, no, it's not. Like it's not to our standard.
Yeah. So we hold ourselves to a very high standard. We have Mr. Zukowski, who
thank you, Mr. Henry,
who has, as we've talked about a lot, Saturn in Virgo in the first in his astrological chart, and we're not half-assing this. Full ass.
Oh, sorry, I went to me while you were talking about our full butts. So the details matter, right? The details in service, like a restaurant, or details in a product equals respect. Like you are using our software. You've taken our invitation and you're like, fine, I will use this thing. I will spend my time and energy on this thing.
And money.
And money. We want to make sure that we can show you in the best way we can how much we care, because we cared enough to notice, and the details mean respect. And we're making a big bet that people buy products when things feel coherent and intentional.
Yeah.
And that is not necessarily true for every single product that exists on the planet. If you are going for something that is mass market and discount, like IKEA furniture, it has intentionality and it is coherent, but it's not what's driving the thing. We always want to be, because we are working with professionals, we want to match the professionalism of the people that we are working with, and also maybe even inspire them to say like, wow, they got the details right and they're showing that respect. It makes me want to also be a better professional when I not only utilize this software, but then provide my astrological services to other people.
Yep, exactly.
So we want to be an inspiration as well.
Yeah.
I love this conversation. So, Mr. Henry, I will conclude this episode, as always, by asking you, what should the good viewer do with the rest of their day?
They should find a flower market and buy some flowers for their place. And if your place doesn't feel like it's good enough to have those flowers in it, clean the place up.
Clean the place up.
Sweat those details.
There's newspapers sitting all around your house right now. You can clean those up.
What's a newspaper? By the way, you keep saying newspaper. What is a newspaper?
I don't know. I'm just thinking about people who are hoarders. Why are these coats here? I don't know. It's just cluttering things up. Be well. Take care. Take care of these coats. You don't need them right now. It's 30 degrees outside.
Summertime.
Have yourself a lovely weekend or whatever day you watch this video. We love seeing your faces every single week. We're going to see it again next week. Until then, be well, take care, and goodbye.